Welcome everybody to the first, I guess it's the soft launch of this new channel uh, for the Burrow. This channel, obviously, super redundant. I am Charlie. I am a travel writer slash fiction writer. Most of my work has been as a ghostwriter for other publications. However, I have had stuff published in a group called Asia Rooms. Worked for them for quite a while, focused obviously on Asia, Japan, where I'm living, so that's where a lot of my stuff comes from. Unfortunately, that publication has since gone under, so that's a little bit about my experience. And now I will give it over to Emily, who is the other half of the Burrow.
Yeah, I'm Emily, aka Wikipedia, and I am a background art supervisor in a television animation studio. And I went to school for traditional animation, which is, like hand-drawn animation. And I've been working for almost 7 years now, doing various things. I used to do character art. I started out as a background artist for a couple years, and I'm now a supervisor.
You're safe to say, of the two of us, I think you're probably a bit more professionally experienced as far as creative stuff goes.
No, that's not even relative.
No, I mean I was trying to lift you up, Yeah.
Well, thank you.
As Emily mentioned, she's also a YouTuber who has a channel called Wikipedia, where she talks a lot about Japanese music. And I too have a channel that's focused on Japanese culture called Charlie no Seikatsu, where I sort of try to show what it's like living in Japan as an English teacher. And that's sort of how we met and how we came together here. And I think we have some mutual interests. Well, obviously we do. And mutual goals going forward for the channel that I hope you guys will find interesting. I know that pretty much everybody in the comments right now, everyone who has subscribed to this channel so far, which thank you for that, by the way, is coming to us from those other channels. So everybody in the comments right now, thank you for watching. Thanks for taking the time, and yeah, for what has turned out to be maybe a little bumpier than I planned. But so I guess Emily, I'll give it to you to start. What do you want to see come out of this project?
I would really like to help other people develop their creative projects, because I have received so much help by meeting people online over the past few years, and it's really given me the abilities and the confidence to work on my own stories and comics and anything else like that. And I don't know where I'd be now if I didn't have that circle of friends, or even resources like podcasts or books and stuff like that. So I really just want to reach out and create a circle like that for people who are kind of newer on the scene, or they've always wanted to start their own creative projects. And I find every creative person I talk to, if they don't have their own project going, if they have a regular 9-to-5 job or whatever, if they don't have that creative outlet to go home to, they just get very bored and stagnant, and it can even lead to depression or something more serious like that.
Yeah, that's 100% true. From experience.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I'm not interrupting you, but I mean my goals are very much the same, but they're not. I don't know if they're entirely as altruistic as yours, to be honest.
Okay.
But I mean, one of the big things is sort of like you're saying, to give people a lifeline.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really important for you not to feel that you're alone. At the end of the day, it's like a solitary thing, and it's important to have other people who are going through the same thing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also important to realize that while you are competing with other people in your fields, it's important not to look at people as your direct competition. I think it's better to see it as hey, we're all in this together. We're all trying to create something great and get it out there for people to see. But that said, also for me, this is a good way to be more accountable with my own work. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I can't come on here and be like, oh, hey, writing tip or whatever when I'm like sitting in the corner playing my Nintendo instead of writing out my daily 1,000 words or whatever I need to do, right? So, but mostly it's the social thing and it's the support thing.
Yeah, and I think the fact that we decided to do this channel together is going to make us even more accountable because we both talked about that we had wanted to do something like this, but we never actually did.
Right.
So the both of us are here like, okay, now we have to do this, you do this, I'll do this, and so we'll actually get the ball rolling instead of like, well, you set deadlines and stuff, and I just sit here kind of like, yeah, someday I'll do it, but you're actually like, okay, we're launching on this day, you need to do this, have it ready by this day.
See, but it may look like I had like that all structured really well, but up until like last night, like I knew about this live stream, right? Like we talked about it maybe a week ago or something. And it was just this morning when I was like writing down my notes, like, okay, here's what I want to talk about. So yeah, I'm definitely no better, but that's true. Yeah.
I have no notes, so
Come on.
You're in the lead right
now. Excellent. What sort of things do you plan on bringing through your videos? Because obviously, given that we do work on different things, our videos are going to be different, right? The content's going to be different. So what sort of things are you looking at?
Well, yeah, from what you guys probably gathered from the intro, Charlie is a writer and I'm an illustrator by trade. So basically what I have planned coming up soon are some comic tutorials and kind of like my process and what I go through from start to finish on any single comic page. And we're actually both going to be doing NaNoWriMo. I don't know if you want to talk about that already, but
yeah, no,
that's okay, that's coming up in November. So we're both going to be vlogging about that. But overall, I would like to do some vlogs specifically about process and editing and planning and world building and character building. That's the stuff I'm really into, and that's what I really dig talking about. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it sounds like there is going to be some overlap, which I think is good. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the channel together, is that we can see like how you go about world building versus how I go about it. And like just the differences in process, I think will be really interesting. But I'm also really interested in exploring like some of the more popular myths that like surround like, I guess, the creative lifestyle. Like, for example, like you can only write or you can only draw or whatever when the muse strikes, right? And I think that's probably one of the biggest lies that especially people who haven't been doing this very long sort of fall victim to, is that you have to wait for inspiration, when really the work part of this is the fact that there are a lot of days when you just don't want to be doing anything, right? But also I want to talk about like interesting projects that I've been given by writing teachers or by friends who work in writing to improve your writing. I guess that's what I have planned. But you mentioned NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, right?
Yeah.
And that starts on November 1st, I think.
Yeah.
And so basically, as the name implies, the idea is to spend the month of November, and I'm not sure if you have to complete the work or if you want to fall in with like a couple, like 30 to 50,000 words, basically to have the majority of a novel completed by the end of the month, right? And so you've never done it before, have you?
No, I've always wanted to, but I've never had the chance.
Same. So I think I can only speak for myself, but I mean, just the enormity in my head of having to tackle anything of that size within a month, like that's always what's kept me from it. I guess is just I'm a coward mostly, but I think I feel if I feel that way, of course, there's many other people who haven't done it for the same reason, right? So yeah. I think being able to show what that's like, struggling with that, getting over that, and hopefully having something to show for it at the end of the month, whether it's a a burnable bundle of pros or not. Like, I think that's important. So
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of topics coming out of that experience that we can cover on the channel.
yeah, and I think maybe again, like, one of the things that'll come out of that is like the discipline aspect of getting it done, and then the days where you just want to delete like every page you've written or whatever. Where you're
Don't do
like,
that.
yeah, no, the last 3,000 words are trash, which happens, of course.
Yeah.
But hopefully not too many times. Is there anything else you would like to add as far as goals, as far as sort of content you want to put out?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard without actually going into, like going at length about the different topics and stuff.
Sure.
But my original thought before we decided to do like a collaboration channel was that when I actually started a web comic, I would have content up on YouTube about that, like about the whole process regarding that, and like everything from like the outlining to script to thumbnailing to the actual pages and final pages and the story and world building and characters and really specific things like magic systems and religious systems and races. And yeah, I want to go into as much detail about everything as possible. Like, I love picking stuff apart.
I'd really, yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
So I have a couple of friends who whenever I go to see a movie with them, we kind of spend like 2 hours after the fact, like discussing everything in the movie and everything you liked about it and didn't like about it. And that on its own helped me learn so much about storytelling. And I think that is something I would like to kind of express on this channel, or like provide for other people in my videos as well. And then of course there's going to be a lot of like more art and animation and illustration specific stuff that I'll be doing. Like, my next video is about cartooning style and kind of like my opinion on it and background information on it and stuff. So yeah, as far as specific art things, I haven't actually planned that much for videos. So if anyone wants anything specifically, you can let me know. Lately, I've just been thinking about like the writing and world building and stuff. So
I mean, I don't see why we can't at least attempt to emulate that process you were talking about, like after seeing a movie or reading something, sort of tearing it apart a little bit. And that can be a good way to get other people involved too, like people who aren't so steeped in like the more technical side, I guess, of the world building. We can talk about it, right? We can talk about, maybe we can say, okay, well, let's all watch like an episode of Rick and Morty. That's the first thing that comes in my head, whatever. And then we can talk about why it was good, like why the plot structure was good, like what they did right as far as characterization or whatever the case may be. Yeah. Right, and that's a good way to get involved. So
that's a really good idea. It's kind of like a mini class.
Yeah, we can do we can like open it up, right? We can have more of like an open hangout for those certain days where we can have sort of like a live stream and we can talk to people and have more like collaborative discussions. Somebody asked us earlier, James O'Hara, I think, who I don't know who's still here or not. I think he faded off into the ether for the night. He asked us for tips, right?
Yeah. Generic tips.
Yeah, just generic. He was hoping to pick up some tips, and I don't know if he's looking what he does, if he writes, if he draws, if he does both like you do, or whatever. But if you could give somebody who's new or experienced, whatever the case may be, one tip, like what is the biggest thing for you?
The biggest tip on drawing or
Yeah,
being
no, sorry. I was
creative or
I'm being equally general. Uh getting it done, maybe?
getting
Like
it done.
yeah.
It's still kind of generic, but I
Yeah.
guess kind of like you were saying, pushing through and doing the work. I think anyone who's kind of done like writing or art for their profession where they have to do it to get paid has kind of dispelled that whole idea of like, oh, I need to wait till I'm inspired to do my art. Like you have to get up in the morning and sit down at your desk or wherever and, bang it out and just get through it. And something that will really help you do that is having a plan. So if you're writing, have your outline there or your notes there, or whatever you need to write whatever piece, or if you're, correcting backgrounds, like my job, like I have this routine that I go through where I'm like looking at other people's notes every day, and there's like a certain amount of steps that you have to get through in order to get the work done.
I don't have anything to add to that.
Oh no.
No, but yeah, I think that's spot on. If I could add my own tip, I guess I would say put whatever discipline you're in a separate sphere from everything else. Like for example, where I'm sitting now, right, this is where I do my YouTube stuff. This is where I play games. This is where I waste my life effectively. And over there, I have like a table where I write, but also there is a bench in the park where I write when I'm writing on paper, or there's a place in the coffee shop where I write that I can bring my computer. And the idea being that I think it's really, really important for me to compartmentalize those different parts of my life because the bleed over is too distracting. And I think it's part of routine. Like you mentioned with routine, like, okay, I go sit in that particular spot. I get the drink ready. Because I'm apparently crazy, I have to I have the pencil and the notebook in one place, right? And the other thing just in its place. And then with that routine, everything falls into place. But I guess also what I mean about getting away from your desk is, I know that I, for the longest time, had the image of writers as like fat old dudes who never moved and just sat there and were like, okay, well, let me think about what sort of things the elves would do today, right? This, like the George R. Martin, like archetype, right? Like in my head. And people always tell you, and it gets annoying when they tell you to write what you know. And I think the thing is that I don't think that's necessarily bad advice, but I think you need to constantly increase what you know. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I would actually add on to that phrase that writers always use, write what you know. I would add, write what you know you would want to read.
Yeah.
Create the thing that you don't see out there that you've always wanted to see. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
No. I think tied to that and tied to what I was saying too is that not only should you be out like people watching and experiencing life, because you can't craft creative or interesting dialogue, convincing dialogue, natural dialogue. I don't think you can create a convincing like fictional world without understanding how the real world functions. But at the same time, you need to read. Just as much as you need to experience like the real world things that shape a book, you also need to understand how people have created their work and been successful. And I think the worst thing you can be is like a writer who doesn't consume literature.
Do they actually get published?
No. No.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no. I've never met a writer who says that they just write, they don't read, who is then been successful. And when I say successful, I mean more than a ghostwriter working on internet blogs behind the scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not dissing that job. I did it for a year and a half. Just saying.
So you mean that friend on Facebook that posts their novel that they're working on, and just by glancing at it, you can tell that they don't actually read books; they just watch movies, and they think from that they know how to construct a story.
Yeah, and 9 times out of 10, I think those types of writers are the romantic, right? Who see writing as this noble endeavor, and they write because it's like a prestige thing, right? They write because they're a writer and whatever, right? When it has to be more than that. I think maybe creativity in general is kind of like a disease, and so you do what you have to make yourself feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a long, messy topic, maybe, but yeah. Point being, read books.
Yeah, read books, people.
You
it's
heard
good
it
for you.
Eloquent as always. Yeah, I guess those are my two biggest long-winded tips for the really generalized crowd at APC.
I have another tip.
Yeah, please.
My other tip is to just try.
Yeah.
There's no point in sitting around and waiting for the right moment to start your creative project and to wait till you're good enough, or to wait until it's going to be perfect, because it's never going to happen. You're never going to accept that you're good enough or that it's the perfect time to do it, unless you're like a pompous idiot, and you think like you're the best.
Right.
And I see that with a lot of comic artists too, how they improve so much over the course of their webcomic or whatever project. And, at the beginning, it's usually kind of bad for a lot of people. And you just kind of have to accept that you're going to grow and get better as you keep working on your stuff.
Right. Yeah. And I think to add to that, it's important to realize that even like a tiny bit of progress, right, is still progress. So suddenly you find yourself not using run-on sentences anymore, just as like a reflex, for example, then good for you. That will bear itself out in your prose. Sorry, I hope I didn't derail your thought.
No.
But yeah, I would also add to beware of like the zeitgeist. But I think that goes back to what you're saying too. Like, yeah, write what you want to read and what nobody else is writing, which is the easiest advice to give.
It doesn't even have to be that unique. Like, you don't have to put all the emphasis on being unique. Like, your own voice, your own characters, and everything. That's what's going to make it unique. Like, I kind of had a panic moment a couple years ago where I saw someone online was creating this like webcomic that was a little similar to the concept I had.
Yeah.
And one of my like writing buddy friends was like, calm down. Your characters and your voice will make your story stand apart. Like, it doesn't matter if it's kind of a similar basis. Like, you can still write, a vampire story, even though Twilight is already out there. Like,
yeah, no, that's true. I think also that's like one of the hardest things to accept is like, maybe imperfections isn't the right word, but like the things that are different about you that maybe don't follow certain rules or whatever. It's really hard to accept that those are actually your strengths, I think. Just because I think we do like to emulate the people that we respect, right? Or whatever the case may be. So it's good that you have a friend that knew to tell you that, I guess.
mm-hmm.
Related to what you were saying about both about world building and about sort of putting your own spin on it. How much do you worry about being derivative, I guess?
I don't really worry about it that much. Just because we do live in a world where there is so much media, and so many people out there creating, and so much of it already is derivative from like original folklore or fairy tales or mythology, that I've kind of already put it in my head that everything's been done. And again, like, you just have to rely on your own uniqueness as a person to come out in your characters and storytelling. And there is certain things that, you know, you can tell when you're reading it or whatever, that you're like, this is so derivative, like, you can't even take it because
it's so blatantly like a ripoff. Well, yeah, I think there's a line, right? I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess it's something I worry about quite a bit. Okay. Mostly maybe because I'm traumatized by like one of my writing teachers.
Oh God.
Who also spoke with an affected estuary accent when she was from Western New York. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much weight I should put on her opinion. Maybe.
What a bitch.
Yeah, she was something else. She would say, she wouldn't say poetry. She would say poetry. like this really weird, like drawn out way of speaking. It was the fucking worst.
Oh, she had brain damage or something.
Oh God, I hope not. No, that would make me feel terrible.
So how did she make you so nervous about being derivative? Like, was that something she talks about a lot, or she accused you of being?
She would, I mean, it wasn't just me. It was like she would regularly like spout off at people. That's not the right way to put that, but like, yeah, she would give these horribly super nitpicky critiques of the smallest thing. So you could, for example, let's see, I wrote like, I'm kind of embarrassed about this piece, but one of the first things I wrote for the class was like, I don't know, some samurai searching for like an artifact, sort of MacGuffin story, right? And I don't remember how it got to it. Oh, because of the way I described the world. Too much like Tolkien. Rewrite. Don't do this again. No Tolkien in your next piece, like that type of thing. And that's what she was known for. It's like, and it wasn't like I was giving her three pages of like of descriptions of the world. I wasn't talking about mushrooms for paragraphs on end, right?
Sometimes having a harsh teacher like that can be really good.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a really really cold and harsh design teacher in college, and I probably learned the most from him just because he was so harsh.
Harsh in what way? Like, was he one of the people who was like, you can do better? Or, I mean, did he withhold, or was he just overly critical?
Well, he did class critiques with us, so he'd be like, okay, class, next week, everyone have your rough designs ready, and we're going to put them up on the board. So then you had to have at least like 25 different designs, and everyone in the class put them up on the board at the same time so everyone can see what you've done. And if you didn't have the set number, you would lose like 15% of your mark automatically. And he would go through like person by person and be like, this is shit, this is retarded. Like, he literally said that one time. And but
oh my God.
He did give out compliments, and you know, like when you actually got that compliment from him, you were like, it was like heaven opened up and like shining down on you.
Sure.
So yeah, that was rough, but it definitely taught me to have, you know, that eye to look at my own work.
Yeah, right. And I think those experiences are really good for realizing that you really, really do need tough skin.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not the only guy in your life who's going to tell you that your work is shit and they hate it. Right? And if you feel the need to, if you feel you need to quit after every time somebody tells you that, then you'll never do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly in a creative field, because your work, your success is dependent on other people, right? I mean, people buying and appreciating your work or whatever. So That still sounds terrifying, though, by the way.
Yeah. Well, it was one of my best classes, so I started to learn to love it because I'd be like, what is he gonna say this time? And like, yeah.
Did you ever have like one of the experiences after that though? Like, if ever, not saying you did, of course, but if ever he said your work was shit, did you just have like one of those things where you did go home and like reconsider your life choices or anything like that, or did it sort of strengthen your resolve?
Yeah, actually, I have a story. If you guys are ready.
They're ready.
I had to have a meeting with him because I had flunked an assignment that was worth like 40% of the overall mark or 50%. I can't remember. It was a big assignment, and I had failed because it was really hard, and I had taken on too much. I basically had taken on Sydney Harbor. I had to draw Sydney Harbor like on a 4 feet long piece of paper in perspective with like a bridge going towards it, and I just couldn't finish it. And so on the morning that I had my meeting with him, I woke up and had the flu really badly. Like I was as sick as I had been since I was like a child. And instead of like emailing him and being like, I'm really sick, I'm not coming to see you, I dragged my ass in the winter to his office, and I was like throwing up on the way there.
Jesus.
And I go in his office, he's like, you're a couple minutes late. And I just go, I'm sorry, instead of saying, I've been throwing up all morning,
Right.
I'm dying. And he kind of sits me down and is like, you didn't finish this. You only got like 35 out of 100 on this, and it's going to take a miracle to pass you. And like, I don't know about your program, but in mine, you had to pass every single course in order to move on to the next year. Like, there's no room for failure. So he literally said, it'll take a miracle to pass you at this point. So I'm sitting there, it's nearing the end of the semester. Obviously, like, there's like a certain point where you can't pull out of the courses or else you get fails on all of them.
Sure.
It was past that. It was past the point where you can get like your tuition fees back and stuff. And so I just basically called my mom crying and was like, I'm really sick. I'm going to die, and I'm probably going to fail this year. And I don't know what to do.
Oh my God.
So by some, I don't know, providence, the next couple assignments were design assignments that I kicked ass in. Like I got 90s in them. It was like character design, like vehicle design and stuff. And he loved it and ended up passing me.
Man. Just imagine your state of mind though.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was a good kick in the ass though, right?
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom and maybe not get to the top, but just be like, I'm gonna try anyway.
Did you keep any of that work as like a reminder or something?
Yeah, I think I have them still.
Yeah, I have a desk of Voldemort stories in that they shall not be named, you know?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I hope you're gonna make a video reading them.
I should see if I can dig up my first ever, like my really long Star Wars fan fiction from 1997.
Oh my God.
10 years old.
Were you a Gary Stu in it?
Was I what?
Were you a Gary Stu in it?
No.
Were you Luke's son or something?
No, I didn't write myself into. Well, I'm sure I did, but I think probably I was just Luke.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like I was, yeah, like I was just, I was Luke. Of course I was Luke. Come on, this is Luke, all right? But pre-Wampa attack. But yeah, but that was also, I mean, I think fan fiction gets a lot of shit, but it can also be like really, really important, like formatively. But
my first fan fictions were Harry Potter, and I totally tried to cop J.K. Rowling style. Yeah.
Is this the one where you wrote like your Super Mary Sue character?
Yeah, one of them.
One of them. One of them.
Yeah, I had a couple before I realized that was really stupid, and I need to stop doing that.
This is interesting. Like you can't teach creativity or individuality, but you can teach tenacity, self-discipline, and self-criticism.
Yep.
I think that's true, but well, yeah, I think that's true, but I think good teaching can help you realize how creative you can be. Potential. In that I mean, like, I don't know about you, but my high school, for the most part, my high school writing classes made me feel like I hated the idea of writing because it was so strict. There wasn't really much room for creativity. And so when I got to college and I did have a good teacher, not the poetry lady, but other teachers, I mean, they help you uncover something, right? And I guess maybe that's the thing about embracing your voice, that's what they can teach you to do. But yeah, no, I think that's, yeah, sorry.
I think it's half and half. Like you have to have a good environment, and you also have to have the self-drive to do it. Like a good example is one of my friends that I went to school with. He entered college on a volleyball scholarship or something like that, and he went into animation thinking it would just be like a fun time or whatever, and he hadn't really ever drawn seriously before that. So he came into animation as a total noob, which sucks when you're like in the class and you see all your drawings up on the board and you're like, mine are the worst in the class. But he now works at Disney Feature Animation in California, and he's worked on Frozen and Wreck-It Ralph, and he's working on the upcoming movies. So
wow, so he like busted his ass.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. Well, there you go. There you go.
You never know.
On YouTube. Yeah. That's amazing. So, I mean, when you say he was a complete noob, I mean, had he picked up a pencil before?
Yeah, but pretty casually. Like everyone else in the class was like that kid that can draw, you know?
Right, yeah,
that one kid in your class who can draw really well. And then we all get into the same room together.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's a pretty big dose of reality, because you're coming from like you being the shit in like elementary school and high school, and then you go to art school and you're like, I am actually shit.
Right. Yeah. You the big fish in little pond thing, sort of.
Exactly.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get over that?
Probably a good year and a half.
Yeah.
The first time I got a compliment from that design teacher, that was in first year, and that was kind of like, I don't know. I never lost the sense that I wanted to do that though, and like I still felt like I was meant to do animation and that kind of thing, despite almost failing all the time. But
yeah, the lesson there is you're not a special snowflake. Unless you really do the work to make yourself the special snowflake, right?
Yeah.
So yes. Deep thoughts here. All right, well, I guess we're sort of nearing an hour here of the stream. Yeah, guys, just want to thank everybody again who knows us from the J vlogging, the Japan vlogging sphere, for coming over here and subscribing to the channel and retweeting tweets and everything like that to get the word out. Really appreciate it. But yeah, as always, guys, if there's anything you'd like to see, you'd like to talk about, please tweet at us, comment, send us messages to this channel. You can also use the email that is attached to this channel, which is the burrowyt@gmail.com. All right, so see you guys October 1st. I don't know what time, but there will be videos from that time onward. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.